It's Powerback time on the Gutsy Podcast, your 20-minute boost to reclaim and refocus your energy. Get ready to have bursts of clarity, a boost of confidence, and the practical steps you need to make gutsy moves forward. You've got big things to do, so let's get your power back. The things that you tolerate become the things that you carry, and over time, that's the stuff that weighs you down. I know, this is going to be one of those episodes where you're like, damn it, Laura, but this is exactly what you need to hear in this moment. When you continue to tolerate behavior, habits, beliefs, messy spaces, a draining part of your relationship, a misaligned client, a coworker that keeps over-talking over top of you, when you are dismissing those things, you are internalizing them. And I know, you don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to make it weird. You don't want to make people uncomfortable. And what do you end up doing instead? Making yourself uncomfortable. Carrying around this gnarly energy that feeds this inside of you. And all that's doing is keeping you in the same place, talking about the same stuff in a new day. If you want to prioritize yourself and protect your peace on a whole new level, then today's episode is going to help you do that. I thought I'd start this off by telling you a little story. Okay, most of the Powerback episodes either come from a conversation that I'm having with a client or a prospective client, or a lived experience, sometimes a combination of the two. Today's episode is brought to you by a shitbag conversation this week that I had where I freaking tolerated something. And it made me so mad, but mad at myself because I'm like, Laura, you know better. But I also want to say that as much as I do this work, as much as I can lean in, as much as I can see things, I'm also a human being. And each situation and scenario gives an opportunity to relearn, to test my skills, and to discover the parts of me that still maybe need a little bit of polishing. So I get on what was intended to be a connection call. I love to just get on calls with people that I meet on LinkedIn, people I meet at networking events, somebody that has introduced me to somebody. Like, there's just really great people in the world. I'm a big fan of connecting with other like-minded people. I want to see what other people are doing in the world. I'm a relationship girl, right? Like, I want to know cool people and I want cool people to know me. And then maybe we do cool stuff together. Or maybe you know somebody that might need what I have, or vice versa. The intent of a connection call is to do just that, to connect, to get to know one another. What it is not for is to fucking hard sell somebody. You might see where this is going. Okay, I get on this call. It seems pretty okay. I've got a little bit of guard up because my intuition is saying, Laura, we might be in one of those spaces. But I've never met this person before. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes I still battle a little bit with like, is this my intuition or am I being guarded? You know, there's a very, very thin line in between those two things sometimes. So the conversation starts out great. He's asking me about myself, my business, what I do, all that kind of good stuff. And he's like, is it okay to tell you a little bit about me? And I'm like, absolutely. This is what we're here to do. When I tell you that opened up Pandora's box of bullshit, I am giving you an understatement. I can tell you every single accolade, achievement, how much money this guy makes, how many kids he has, every program that he has, every system that he's built, every partnership that he's had, how many books he's authored, how many books he's co-authored. I mean, it went into this like ginormous black hole of let me tell you everything that I do. Now, don't skew this. I want to know what this person does, but it was the energy that it was rooted in that I could tell we were going down a different road. It wasn't just an informative. It wasn't, hey, here's what I've done or what I'm proud of or what I'm working on right now. That's a different energy. Okay. I could tell that we were getting groundwork for justifying why he was about to sell me. And that's exactly what fucking happened. He asked all the right questions to get all the right yeses, which opened up a green light for him to then go in to tell me about his signature program and why I was the right fit and everything that he's done. Oh, did we pull up a slide deck? You bet your fucking ass we did. Let me also remind you that this was intended to be a 30-minute meeting. In my calendar, the invitation was 30 minutes. We are now 50 minutes into this spiel, and I am locked up. He spoke so fast and so all over the place that I never felt like I had a moment where I could stop him, to interject, to say no to anything, to just like lop it off. In hindsight, I should have just hit end on the Zoom and called it a fucking day. But I was in it. I don't know. It was just something took over me. I got locked up. I wasn't able to speak. I couldn't move. In a normal setting, I would be like, there's nothing about this that is okay. And you know what? One of the freaking thoughts that popped up where I was like, Laura, thanks for the spotlight on where I still have a little bit of work to do. I didn't want to interrupt him. I didn't want to be rude. And I'm like, look, in hindsight, everything about what this guy was doing was rude to me. And I'm over here like, I don't want to interrupt him. I don't want to be rude. Fuck all of that. Okay, there is a massive level of disrespect and also just lack of awareness. Like, read the room. My face was probably telling it all. I don't hide my emotion very well. If you're ever with me in person or you see me on camera, I express just about everything that I'm feeling through my facial expressions. And when I'm into something, it's pretty obvious. When I've checked out, also pretty obvious. We got all the way to the end and he asked if I wanted to know the pricing. And at this point, I'm like, well, you gave me all the other information. Now I'm just kind of curious what you charge for all this shit that you just spewed at me. So he told me. And then it got to this point where like, I'm no pressure, right? Like if you want to think about this, no big deal. Like no pressure. However, okay, asterisk here. However, if you decide today, right now, while we're on this call, I'll consider you a lightning mover or something like that. Like he had a fancy term for it. I'll consider you a lightning mover and I'm going to put you at the top of my priority list to make the right connections for you. And if you do the year, then you get more of my attention than the people that do month to month. And all we got to do is I'll send you the link right now. You sign up while we're on this call. We get you set up. I get you in the network and I start connecting you right now. We can just keep this going. What do you think? And I was like, no, no. And as soon as I said no, the energy shifted. As much as he had been blowing smoke up my ass for the last hour now at this point, telling me that there was no pressure and everything was good and I could do whatever, the energy flipped like a light switch. And I was like, I can't get off this phone fast enough. So I exit the Zoom. We end the call. My energy is fucked. Okay, I'm angry. I am irritated. I am short-tempered. It put me behind. I had things that I needed to do that day that now, like, my energy was so off, I didn't want to do them. So I lost productivity. I lost inspiration. And my husband came down to make a cup of coffee. And I was like, listen, I'm mad, not at you, but I'm mad and I need somebody to hear me. So I'm just like fucking going off about this. I am beside myself. And after I cooled down several hours later, to be honest, I was like, damn, I tolerated this man. I tolerated him disrespecting my calendar and my time. I tolerated the message that I knew was not for me. I tolerated being sold in a setting where we were supposed to just get to know each other. I let my guard down. I allowed this to happen, and what you allow will continue. And that was very evident in this situation because an hour later, not even just an hour later, that was the call. Now 3 hours later, 4 hours later, I'm still going at it. I'm still disrupted on the inside, and all because what? I didn't want to interrupt him. Now, of course, this has sent me down a journey of introspective. I want to get to know it more. This is just naturally how my brain works. And then, of course, I'm like, how can I teach this? How can I talk about this with the Gutsy Podcast crew? Like, these women need to hear this story because I hope that this reminds you that you have more power than what any moment wants you to believe that you do. Something that I've decided, because again, I'm like, okay, how do I interrupt this? You know, because I said before, I locked up. How do I do something when I am like completely frozen? Like I'm just sitting here as if I can't move any part of my body. It was the weirdest thing because I've not experienced this in honestly quite a while. So I'm like, how do you move out of the space when you're locked up? How do you shift out of feeling bad about stuff? And what I realize is like, I need to have some preset ground rules and or tools or techniques so I know what to do in those moments. Because I think that was part of my problem, honestly. Like, I just didn't know what to do, so I did nothing. Now, this is ridiculous, but I'm actually not joking. The next time that kind of horseshit starts happening, I'm literally just going to start barking. I'm not kidding. Like, I need to interrupt that type of situation with something that is so abrupt, something that is so like off the beaten path that they can't help but shut up. Like, I have to just let my intrusive thoughts come out and just bark or quack or squeal or make some ridiculous trumpet sound with my mouth to just interrupt the situation. And if they think that I'm batshit crazy at that point, then fantastic. We can end the Zoom even faster. I'm not saying that's for everybody. I'm just saying that that's one of the tools that I've decided that I'm going to use. So maybe my suggestion here is, how are you going to interrupt the freeze? What is something that you can do to catch yourself, to like wake yourself back up, to bring your mind back online, to wake your body back up, to say, hey, I need to get my hands back on the wheel because I'm out here like a wacky inflatable whaling tube man who's just going with the wind here. I can't do that. I need to take control back of the situation. So what is that thing going to be for you? Maybe you want to bark too. You are more than welcome to utilize that. I think actually the more that men think that women are batshit crazy, the better, personally. If you want to tone down the crazy just a tad, you could utilize things like snapping your fingers, pinching your arm. I'm not saying like, like hurt yourself, but just to kind of wake you up, to do a little shimmy in your desk, to clap your heels together, like some kind of physical movement to break that stillness. Find what that is for you. Experiment with what that is for you, because that can't be something that I tell you to do. That has to be something that works for you. A good clap goes a long way. The other thing here is to know, what am I going to do when this happens? Now, I realize that this might shift. Okay, it might depend on the person. It might depend on the situation. It might depend on a million different things. But at least having one or two tools in your toolkit to know, how do I typically like to or prefer to handle situations like this? I know I joked about hitting the leave button on Zoom and just like ghosting, but that actually wouldn't feel great to me. I would feel, I don't know, that just feels inauthentic to me. But what would feel very good to me is interrupting the conversation and saying, actually, I think I just got to stop you there. Now, if I were in a more harsh situation where I was being like blatantly disrespected or somebody was being crude to me, I would have no problem hitting leave and ghosting. Okay, that just want to make that very clear. But in this particular situation, that would not feel great to me. But interrupting him, stopping him, like literally putting up my hands and saying, hold up, sir. I'm not going to say his name. Hold up, sir. I think I got to pause. Like, this is not where I thought this conversation was going, and I'm not interested in learning any more about this program. That would have felt good to me. And I know that's scary. It's scary because you're really owning your truth. You're speaking your mind, but saying it in a way that feels grounded to you can really go a long way. This is what I'm saying would work for me. What I'm suggesting here is finding what works for you. What would feel good for you? If you were in your sound, grounded mind, how would you want to respond in these situations? Maybe you do want to hit leave and just go. Fine. Maybe you do want to have the conversation. Great. Maybe you want to handle it a different way in a different time. That's okay too. The thing that I'm finding with this, though, is like I needed to know how I want to handle these situations before the situation arises. Will there always be new situations? Sure. I mean, this was kind of one of them. So I take this, I learn, what did I need in those moments instead? How can I support myself? And this is what I want to bring forward to you today, because tolerating things does not get you ahead. It does not support your energy. It does not invoke creativity. It does not help get you past the situation you're in or get you to the place where you want to be. It does not help you achieve your goals. In fact, all of it keeps you stuck. It keeps you in this moment. The more that you are tolerating, the heavier things get because you are carrying them. You're internalizing them. You're making this stuff about you when really it's something or someone else. Little caveat there. Sometimes it is you. Sometimes there are beliefs or habits or behaviors that you are doing that you're tolerating too. So it's not always about other people. Sometimes it's about you and your own bullshit. So the first thing we got to look at is how to even spot when you're in a place where you're tolerating something, right? I mean, this can be at home. This could be in friendships. This could be in your relationship. This could be in your business, with your clients, with your colleagues, with yourself when you're sitting at home with nobody else. I mean, this can show up in every space and every place. And when you are tolerating, you are lowering your standards and allowing shit to happen. That's what it boils down to. Tolerating means that you are lowering your standards and allowing shit to happen. This could be a messy space, something that's draining you in your relationship, a client that is so misaligned that you just know it needs to end, a coworker that is overstepping boundaries or keeps over talking you, a habit that you have that is stopping you from being able to move forward. I mean, it shows up everywhere. When you realize what you're tolerating, then you can decide when and how you're going to let it go, when you're going to stop tolerating it, how you're going to stop tolerating it. So I think it's important to have a few signs and cues to even know when you're tolerating in the first place. You know, you might look back and see some moments and be like, oh yeah, I didn't realize that. But the goal here is to know moving forward, right? We can't change the past. We can learn from it. We can take lessons from it, but we can't change it. But having these cues moving forward, hopefully, is going to help you to stop tolerating this shit moving forward. Here's a handful of cues and signs and signals that I want you to keep your eyes and ears out for, okay? First, constantly sighing, rolling your eyes, huffing and puffing about something. You know, like when somebody says something or they use a certain tone or the way that they show up at the dinner table and you're just like, ugh, right? Like that, not addressing that, not working with that is tolerating it. And that energy is heavy and it sticks with you. And then it likes to roll into the next thing. And that is complaining about that situation to other people. It feels good in the moment to vent, to be like, can you believe what so-and-so said? Oh my gosh, this person's doing this thing again. Oh my gosh, my husband is acting like this again. My coworker is doing this stuff again. I hate this fucking client because of X, Y, and Z. You want to complain about it. You want to talk to somebody about it because it's uncomfortable, but it feels more comfortable to complain about it behind the scenes than it does to actually address it. So if you are complaining about or venting about consistently, a good vent session can be very therapeutic, but consistently venting about something, but never actually addressing the problem, my friend, you're tolerating it. It could also be these small frustrations that steal your energy. I was low-key frustrated during this call, but I just let it happen. I just became part of the situation and it was siphoning my energy by the second. By the time the call was done, I was like a different person and I allowed that to happen because I tolerated it. It could also be actions that something or someone is doing that build up inside you. You keep quiet about it. You watch it. Maybe you even keep tally. You know how many times this person has done this or how many times this person has said this. And then again, we go back to complaining about it to other people. Friend, that's tolerating it. Another way that you can start spotting this, and perhaps maybe even the most important way to spot this, is that when things, behaviors, actions, words, the way somebody's treating you consistently bump up against your morals, values, boundaries, or beliefs. Your cousin that comes to family events that consistently brings racist jokes. A friend that every single time that you get together, they show up late or not at all and they don't communicate with you. A coworker or a boss that consistently talks over you and claims your ideas as their own. A sibling that wants to go out to dinner but conveniently just never has their wallet with them when you go out. And from maybe your own lens, Maybe you're trying to find vitality in life. You just want to feel better, but you are consistently buying things that make you feel like shit. These are just a few of the millions of ways that these things can show up. But if something is consistently bumping up against you, your morals, your values, your boundaries, your beliefs, your self-respect, friend, what you allow will continue. And it requires you to disrupt it, to speak up, to own yourself. And those are usually the very reasons why you don't, because it's uncomfortable. When you feel that distress or that disruption, you often go into silence mode, just like I did, still, frozen, dealing with it, allowing this stuff, internalizing it, avoiding conflict. Chances are you were not taught how to stand up for yourself, how to interrupt a situation, how to shift a conversation. And we're learning this in real time, here together. See, when you're no longer tolerating stuff, that means that you're vocalizing. You are expressing your wants and your needs. You are owning yourself in a whole new way. And that's probably new to you. That's why this is so uncomfortable. You don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to upset somebody. But I want you to know that postponing all of these feelings to avoid the conflict now equates to you carrying it. It equates to you dismissing yourself. It piles up, it boils up, and eventually it comes out one way or another. And whether that's you blow the top off of it and lose your shit on people, or you completely shut down and you stop working towards your goals because you're so heavy in your heart, in your soul, in your mind, it's going to show up. Tolerating things drain your energy. It puts your needs last. It puts you in a place where you're settling so that why? You can make other people comfortable, so that you don't rock the boat, so you don't come across this or that. Choosing to no longer tolerate a behavior or a situation means choosing to stand up for yourself. That's what all of this boils down to. And again, that's why it's probably so uncomfortable for you. But what you allow will continue. And that's what we're not going to do anymore, right? Right. So I gave you a few tips earlier on in the show about some ways to interrupt it, ways to even catch it when it's happening or to notice it. There's a few other ways that you can start to release these things, the stuff that you have been unintentionally tolerating. The first one is to name it. Truly, really honestly acknowledge it. Much like I did in the story earlier on. I acknowledged that I did not want to interrupt this guy. When I acknowledged that, I took the power away from all of the energy around it. I wasn't feeling guilty. I wasn't feeling shame. I was just like, damn, there I did that again. But I know what it is. I'm naming it. And therefore I am taking my power back with it. The second thing is to acknowledge what is in your control. We cannot control what other people do. We cannot control what other people say, what they think, what their behaviors are, what their belief systems are, what their morals and values are. You can't change any of that. You could influence it, but that's not your job to change it for them. There are most certainly other things, though, that are in your control, like removing yourself from the situation, changing it, delegating something, communicating with someone, speaking up, asking for something different, letting someone know how you feel, stopping a situation. There are things that are in your control, even though in those moments you may not feel in control. I promise you, you will feel 10,000 times better if you interrupt the situation, you do what you know that you can do, and you walk away. You fix something, you change something, you express a feeling or an emotion. You stop a dude from hard selling you on a Zoom call. You can bet your whole ass that when this happens again, because it will, I will be so prepared. I will know exactly what to do. I'll be able to catch it sooner. And that's growth. Friend, this is growth. There is no way that you're going to be perfect at this forever because you're continuously growing and evolving. You're always around new people and you're always going to be in a new situation. So this isn't a one and done situation. We're growing, we're adding tools to the tool belt. The next thing is to act. We've got to do something. We have to take control. And the way we do that is by movement. You always hear me talking about that. That's why my keynote is about gutsy moves. It's why I talk about gutsy moves. We've got to be willing to take an action. So for me in that situation, it would have been throwing up my hands in a timeout and saying, hold up, can I pause us here for a second? That would have felt very authentic to me. Would it have been uncomfortable? Yes. Would I have had to probably still process through some emotions afterwards? Yes. But I would have not have been stuck on a call for an hour. I wouldn't have wasted the rest of my day because I was so irritated by this. So choosing to not tolerate means taking an action, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you're a little shaky, even when you're like, I don't want to disrupt this, but I don't want to disrupt me anymore. I don't want to disrupt me anymore. I don't want to allow this to disrupt me anymore. So this is your call to act. Send the email, have the conversation, throw the thing away, block in the time. This requires you to move. Now, there's something really interesting in this too, is like sometimes the conversation that we don't want to have actually gives that person a chance to fix it. Sometimes they may not realize that they are disrupting you. They may have actually very good intentions. They just have no idea. So communicating, having that conversation, sending the email saying, hey, pause, can we talk for a second, could be an opportunity for them to change something. It gives them a chance to know how it bothers you. It clearly communicates your needs. This is a good dynamic. It lets them build their self-awareness so that maybe they shift it the next time. Now, they very well could give two shits less. That's not up to you to decide. But the good people, the solid people in your world want to know when something's bothering you. They want to know these things clearly. They don't want to talk around, like beat around the bush about it. They don't want to like read between the lines. They want to know. They want the opportunity to adjust something, and the right good people absolutely will. And if they don't, then guess what? Ball's in your court. You get to decide. If you're at a place of work and your boss consistently talks over you and consistently takes your ideas and you tell them about this and they consistently do it after that, guess what? You get to apply other places. If you're working with a client and they're calling you after hours, they're calling you on the weekend, they're getting upset because you're not answering them on Saturday night, and you communicate, hey, my hours of working are Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. I'm available through these times. Here's how you can do this. And they continue to call, and they continue to email, and they continue to get upset while you're not answering their calls on Saturdays, then guess what? You get to fire that client. Best case scenario in that situation, they're like, oh my gosh, you're right. I didn't realize that. Or, you know what? I send those things on Saturdays, but I have no expectation of you answering them. I will be a little bit more mindful of that though, right? Like the right clients are going to shift the behavior. The right boss is going to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was doing that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. In either situation, whether it goes great or it goes off the rails, you get to decide. You have stood up for yourself. You have owned who you are and what you need. You have communicated your needs very clearly. You've put yourself to the front of the line, and now it's up to the other person. They're either going to show up or they're going to show out, and then you get to decide how you're going to work with it after that. Lastly, I want you to really notice how it feels to take care of yourself, because that's what you're doing. When you choose to no longer tolerate shit, you're choosing to take care of yourself. And I want you to think back to a time when something was happening or somebody said something or you saw something happening out in the wild and you spoke up. You got involved. You took a stance. You asked for help. You did something. How did that feel? I bet it felt empowering, exciting, grounding. You might have been a little shaky. You might have been a little, like wound up because, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did or said that. But I'm going to bet that later on that day, you felt a sense of self-satisfaction that you haven't felt in a while. This is what it feels like to take care of yourself. This is what it feels like to protect yourself, to express your needs, to communicate what's going on inside of you, to hold those boundaries, to hold those beliefs. And this happens with yourself too. Remember this. respecting your own beliefs, respecting your own boundaries, feeding into the habits that support where you want to go, not where you've been. Friend, if you want to feel lighter, you want to feel more in control, you want to start achieving things with more ease, you want to just attract the right people in all the right ways, stop tolerating stuff. I'm telling you, it's a freaking game changer. I'm not saying it's easy. Sometimes when you set up that boundary and you communicate things, people leave. Sometimes you lose revenue in your business. Sometimes you lose followers on social media. Sometimes you realize that I have to find a whole nother job and I don't want to do that. But you know something? All of that stuff is temporary. I know it sucks in the moment. I've lost friends over setting boundaries. I had a friend that canceled on me in the 11th hour every single time that we were supposed to get together. I expressed how that made me feel. I told her why that was not okay for me. We're not friends anymore. I stopped hearing from her. And that sucked because we were really, really good friends. But you know what would have sucked even more? Continuing to let myself feel down every single time she bailed on me. Staying quiet when I actually was really upset. Acting like it was okay or this was an okay way of being friends with me. That's not okay at all. I mean, shit comes up. You know, I get that. We're all humans. But every single time, that's not okay for me. I had to be willing to communicate that. And I had to be willing to accept the consequence of that. But was it a consequence when I actually regained my peace? When I'm no longer feeling let down every single time? When I'm not feeling taken advantage of? Friend, I will fight for my peace over anybody else's every single day of the week. And that's what I want to instill in you, is that you are allowed to fight for yourself. You know what's right. You know what's wrong. And sometimes you get locked up in a situation and you need a tool like barking at somebody or clapping or clicking your heels together. But you know what? You know. And because you know, you can act. And when you act, you are actively choosing you. It's not selfish. It's necessary. So I'll leave you with this today. What is one thing that you have been tolerating? And how are you going to address it? You might have to think on this a little while, or you might know exactly what you need to do. Either way, my hope is that this episode has awoken something in you. Awaken? You know what I mean. I hope this lit you up from the inside out. And I hope that this shines a light on every situation, or at least most of them moving forward, to see where you're tolerating and where you actually have the ability to take your power back. I'll also say here real quick, honestly, that a lot of times the women that join the Gutsy Collective are joining because they are learning how to reprioritize themselves, maybe for the first time in their entire life. So the Gutsy Collective is a great first step. If you're wanting to take some of these actions, you're wanting to lean in and do the hard thing, you're wanting to stop tolerating stuff, but you're feeling a little shaky about it. Your confidence isn't quite there yet. You need some more tools and some support. Actual live conversations with people that get it could really fuel you. The Gutsy Collective, I'm telling you, friend, that's your right next step. So if you're interested in that, go to LauraAura.com. You'll see the Gutsy Collective at the top. You can just click there and join today. I would really love to hear from you as well. I'd love to hear what you are no longer tolerating and how you're going to clear it. So come find me on the social media platforms. My handle is @thatlauraAura. And as always, until I see you next time, stay gutsy.